Today, joining us all the way from over in Poland is Dorota Wrobel. Dorota is the Chief R&D Officer at G2A. G2A is one of the world's largest and most trusted marketplaces for games, DLCs, game items, as well as software and e-learning. She's been in e-commerce for over 9 years. She's a big advocate for women in tech, and she believes the best work comes from diverse teams with interdisciplinary backgrounds. In addition, when she has some free time, she's a cycling enthusiast and likes documentaries. So, Dorota, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for invitation. Glad to be here today.
So, we one of the things our listeners always like to start out with is the origin story. Like, how did you get into this world of gaming and tech? If you don't mind giving us a little bit about your background.
Sure, with pleasure. When I graduated actually in international relations from the University of Rome, I was looking for a job where I could use my knowledge of languages, English, Italian, and Polish. I was a gamer, but more a casual type than a regular gamer. And my recruiter told me about G2A. And you know what? I decided to leave Italy and return to Poland. So back then, G2A was an online shop for gamers, and I started as a business development specialist.
Okay.
Within a year, I became responsible for more and more markets. And in 2014, G2A changed its business model to a two-sided marketplace from a website shop.
Okay.
It was a time when I was promoted to the head of the marketplace, as many of my ideas had positive impact on our business. And let's say that many of my observations and suggestions turned into an effective business solution in the end. And today, as you said, G2A is the world's largest marketplace for digital entertainment, and I am right now responsible for the entire platform and R&D area as a chief R&D officer.
So
that's the story.
that's a wonderful story. Now, what were some of your insights that we might take as obvious today, but were not obvious when you came up with the ideas in business development?
I think that the idea that I had to listen to the customers' needs in the first place and to make sure that they have got the variety of the offerings as wider as possible. Because at the beginning we were treating only few products and then, expanding into much wider product portfolio. The second one was about developing new markets, because we started in Poland. We have quite big success in Poland, and then we decided, let's try another markets within Europe. Once we were at a good level, let's say, of brand awareness of G2A platform in Europe, we decided to go outside Europe, in US, and we were also exploring some Asian countries, African countries, Latin countries, and that was quite interesting experience. I must say that I was also registered in every marketplace in the world, let's say, to see how it is working from the backstage as a seller. So I was, trying to sell video games on Taobao, Lazada, Amazon, eBay, everywhere. And this experience gave me actually the background, what we can do better, what we can totally, cancel because it's not related to the digital environment. And this is how we were improving G2A platform. And today, G2A is treating more than 75,000 products with 30 million customers that trusted us.
Wow, that's a huge number. 30 million are on your platform on a regular basis making purchases. I have to ask you, I know we have some questions here, but I'm going to deviate a little bit because you told some really good story here. When you're trying to sell to different cultures, what have you noticed? Is there, from the people who are buying games, is it relatively similar, or do you have to change your tactics of how you sell based on the culture that you're trying to sell to, like the US and Europe?
It was it was totally different from country to country. We observed that certain countries are more interested in sport games like FIFA or Football Manager or Pro Evolution Soccer, right?
Okay.
The others are more into the shooters like
Okay.
Counter Strike, right? Portal 2 or others. So we are trying to adjust to those preferences of the customers. And from the other point of view, we were also trying to adjust payment methods because what we discovered is that in different countries, there are different popularity of different methods. Not everywhere, let's say PayPal or credit cards are so popular. Sometimes
Right.
in different countries we have got alternative payment methods that are much more popular. And my biggest surprise was when we were trying to enter in India,
Okay.
that they were focused on cash on delivery, which was for digital products something, totally
Wow.
new. So those kind of experiences across the globe gave us, let's say, a lot of experience, a lot of insights, and right now we can recommend the best, in my opinion, gaming experience to everyone, not only to the hardcore gamers, but also to the casual ones. Also for people who never treated gaming as a pastime, right? As a moment when they can spend their free time. And after post-pandemic world, I think that more and more people they tried gaming and they decided to go through this type of entertainment. And here we are with our recommendations and with our mission actually to democratize digital entertainment, because our mission is to provide the best digital experience adventure to everyone, without looking at the gender, at the age, at the religion, etc. So this is what G2A is and how we treat
See that
our customers.
that's a big project because you have such a diversity of customers, such a diversity of cultures, and to service all of them is absolutely not a minor undertaking. That's stating the obvious. But now, how, being a cybersecurity show, I guess this what you guys have built. There are a lot of cybersecurity concerns with it, right? There's you have a lot of data, you have a lot of different audiences. I guess let's just systematically go through and get some of your ideas on how do you first of all secure these folks from getting their identities stolen, or they're getting compromised, or their data gets stolen out of the system. I'm sure you guys have thought about that quite a bit.
Yes, actually, I will. When replying to your question, I would focus on a few things. The first one is that we support a wide range of payment methods, as I said, including
Yeah.
popular global options such as card, PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay, of course, as well as numerous local methods like Venmo, Blik, Ideal, Pix, so forth. And we are constantly expanding our payment offerings to better serve our customers. And we are excited to continue growing and evolving alongside the changing needs of this payment industry. And what is important is that G2A actively identify changing payments environments in terms of legislation, payment methods share, innovative payments, acquires technological advancements, and in the same time, it combines with possibilities offered to the market and sellers' requirements, because we are two-sided marketplace, for quick settlement and high success rate of the transactions. And this is, let's say, from the customer point of view.
Okay.
The second aspect is about cybersecurity, as you mentioned. We can see that cybercrime is currently on the rise,
Yeah.
and we are working hard to stay ahead of it, ensuring of security protocols are above industry standards. And security was, is, and always be one of our top priorities. And we are proud to have created a safe environment for everyone on g2a.com, because we hope to see more companies prioritizing security. We see that this is not really popular right now, and I think that more and more companies, especially small and medium size, they will see that they have invested into security much more than they are doing nowadays. And of course, there is no marketplace in the world with no attempt to fraud.
Of course.
But our comprehensive approach to security allowed us actually to keep the anti-fraud rate much lower than our level that let's say medium industry average, right? So this is also a big achievement, especially you have to consider that we are treating only digital products with instant delivery. So there's no physical stuff that can be delivered by couriers on our marketplace. And we are protecting our marketplace also by cutting edge AI supported security systems.
Oh, really?
Yes, like Senti1, Qualys, or SonarQube.
Okay.
And we are very enthusiastic about AI that helps businesses, and no doubt it does, right? But I would like to point out also one aspect here. AI actually is a double edged sword,
Yeah.
providing opportunities from one side, but also new threats. Because monitoring, analyzing patterns of user behavior, here the AI is helping, predicting the outcomes of unusual behavior, preventing fraudulent activity and its outcomes, of course, training and machine learning for future use. However, cybercriminals often use AI for their own purposes,
Of course.
including, creating new malware and hacking tools, automating really in a good way, let's say phishing attacks. AI can be tricked by those who study and test its vulnerabilities by crafting data, communications, or events that fault the system. And also, AI algorithms are susceptible to human error or oversight. So this is, let's say, a two-sided thing of using AI from, protecting, from one side protecting business, and for the other side trying to find out how these tools are used also by the criminals.
So,
And the third point, I would say, is about our sellers.
yeah.
Because as I said, we are two-sided marketplace. We have that from one side customers, for the other side merchants. So at G2A, we really, pay attention on how we verify the sellers. And at G2A, you can pass the verification process only if you are a business verified seller. We do not allow any individual sellers to sell because we believe that they cannot, let's say, treat the customer service in the way that we would like to. So that's why only business sellers are allowed to sell on g2a.com. So when registering and onboarding sellers process is really complicated. If I compare it to the other marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Allegro, Taobao, because we are asking sellers to provide really, many documents like certificate of registration, legal documents, ownership certificates, and many others. So we really pay attention on the qualified merchants, and this is also resulting into really low refund rate on our marketplace, because this is like less than 1% from total transactions.
Wow, that's very low for the size
It's
of market.
incredibly
Yeah, yeah.
incredibly low, right? But let's say that focusing on the seller's verification just pay off, right? Because then you will see that this, let's say, this customer service to the customers is on the higher level than if you will be allowing anyone, let's say, to sell on marketplace. And we are also partnering with different external partners. I can name a few, let's
Yeah,
say.
please.
because I think it's important, to cooperate with others and to find out, let's say, and check the tools and companies that they can help you out with protecting your business. And Just is using machine learning to properly handle any disputes or chargebacks that are raised against us. And this is company that is helping us a lot. And
Okay.
um, After implementing this solution, we had a 30% point increase in win rate
Wow.
for reversing chargebacks, which is not only great success in terms of KPI itself, but also a great place for sharing knowledge with others that are seeing also cases, behaviors, or other merchants, right? And I just mentioned that before, but I would tell it again because I think it's extremely important,
Please.
and I really appreciate that we have got programs, podcasts, interviews like this one, because my observation is that a post-pandemic world, there have been quite a lot of new internet users
Yes,
who are
very
who
much
are
so.
yeah, who are completely unaware of how they should protect themselves on the internet. So that is why we see a need of working on changing that and helping, with education, trying to give them an idea and also, some tips and tricks how to protect themselves from threats.
Let's go there then. Share in terms of some tips and tricks for your user base. Share some ideas on how they can be safer.
Yeah, let's say that when customers are scanning, sometimes it's happening that the customer is sharing credit card data with our customer support,
Okay.
which is, it's not safe, right, to do so. So we are trying to educate them that you shouldn't do that, right, because this and this one. So the same with using social media. We see that people are sharing, different things without too much care of what they are sharing, and then um, you can be easily tagged by some bad actors within the internet, that they can store, let's say, your data, they can store your credit card, etc. So we are trying to give them, let's say, tips how to be protected. And internally we have got also um, security trainings for our staff, to, to not be actually vulnerable to the phishing attacks, to wisely share the data with everyone in the company, but also outside. We are trying to focus on this human firewall, and we are giving also people, the badges, if you are good protector of those tips and tricks or not.
Oh, so you're establishing a culture of cybersecurity inside
Yes.
your environment. That's admirable. Very few companies actually take that challenge very seriously, and that is actually one of the most effective ways we have seen to cut back on bad actors compromising people. Is if there's a lot of things that can be prevented by addressing human behavior.
Yeah, indeed, I totally agree.
you know and so let me ask you about regulation, because you guys are in Europe, you're in the United States, California, I assume. So has the CCPA and GDPR, have they been a good thing for you for e-commerce and security, or does it not affect it, or has it been a bad thing? What are your thoughts there, Dura?
From the business perspective, I think that they are good thing, right? But for the customer perspective, sometimes they are bad thing, because people, they do not understand correctly what that means, and what we observe, sometimes they are not reading about things. However, we are always compliant with every regulation, and in every country we were compliant with even local regulations. So this is our priority, to be compliant with everything that is required in terms of not only e-commerce business, but also from the payment perspective. We are audited by 200 payment methods every month, because they are our partners. So we have to adjust to the requirements, to the card schemes, etc. And in here, I think we are quite good in terms of implementing that, always on time, always at the best level, so the customer can easily buy without suffering too much, let's say, from the process, to making sure that the process is quick, but it's also compliant in terms of regulations and requirements from different points of view, not only payments, but also general e-commerce directives.
Going back to AI, how do you see AI transforming G2A in terms of your e-commerce? How do you think it's going to impact? What's your vision for the future with that?
In terms of AI, I think that it definitely helps to automate the process, let's say, in terms of some customers' compliance, or always the same questions or something like that. In the fields that are, let's say, a regular fields where similar questions happens often, but I don't believe that AI is resolving every problem in terms of security.
Sure.
I wouldn't bet only on AI. I still think that this human touch is necessary, because machine learning is machine learning, right?
Yeah.
So, and where the threats are coming very often is about emotions. Criminals, sometimes they are caught because they were too greedy, or they
Yes.
something happened, and this is not anomaly, this is about emotions. And in that field, I think that the human touch is very important. So that's why on the cybersecurity side at G2A, we have got AI tools, but we have got also a cyber defense team, which is prepared, analyzing, monitoring, and trying to find out the rationale about what is, let's say, in cyber criminal minds, in order to be ahead of them.
Dorota, you are the only person that has appeared on this show that has actually talked or mentioned that you're trying to understand the psychology of the bad actor. And that my hat's off to you for that. I was not expecting that. Uh, and because it's a deficient area that we often point out, is that if you're going to defend against something, you have to get into the mind of what that thing is or that person is, to understand what their need is, what their desire is, why they're doing what they're doing, so
And
that
what would be next step?
what would be the next step. And we see, and that's, we term that proactive defense. Very few companies, in fact, you're almost in almost over 150 people on the as guests. You're probably the first company that's mentioned that as a focus in their cybersecurity program. So that's admirable. I mean, whoever engineered that is thinking along the right tracks. Because without it,
Thank you.
yeah, you without it, it's a very difficult. In fact, most people, you mentioned human touch, and I want our audience to make sure that we highlight that, because most of the industry in the cybersecurity world is throwing technology and automation at the problem. And unless you put the human touch in, both on the cybersecurity defense side and on the people behavior side, you're not going to get a very effective outcome. That's been our experience, at least.
Yeah, and even when choosing, let's say, the partners in terms of cyber defense, different tools, I'm always looking if they are only technology based or if they have got some analytics roles, let's say, where humans are looking also at those numbers, where humans are trying to find out what is behind. When humans are looking at the network that they have and trying to find out what could be the next pattern discovered, let's say.
Now, I would imagine that you're also providing platforms where gamers can collaborate together in a gaming environment. Is that true?
Uh, we are providing only with the marketplace where they can buy and
Okay.
sell digital items. However, they can always go through the customer support if they don't know what to play. We are there to advise.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, of course. So if you are, not really, if you have a problem with deciding, then we can help you out with that. And I think it's important because nowadays we have got the culture of, a lot of offerings are coming, beeping always your telephone, etc. So sometimes it is good to have a talk with someone about something and then having, an advice, just an advice, like a friend's advice.
How are you finding the younger generation taking to that? Because it seems like they don't want to talk to a lot of people all the time, and what you're providing is a premium.
What my observation actually about the young generation is that they don't like talk to in terms of cold calling, let's say calling, right?
Yeah.
Taking the phone and calling. I think that what they are used to really hard is to write down. And in here we have got our customer support that is able to respond you with some advice. Also, sometimes people like younger generation is asking us how to convince my mother to play games more, etc. So different type of advice is requested through the customer support. However, we have got a team dedicated to that because we really care about our customers and we have got a great repeat purchase ratio, meaning that people, they feel good at our platform, and this is the most important thing for us.
Now, are you also advising the game developers then on what they should be putting into the games to sell them better?
Huh, that's much more difficult, right? Because sometimes customers are complaining, oh, this graphics in StarCraft, or I don't like this one because it's lagging, etc. So we understand those pain points, and we just sympathize with them, but we cannot change that, yeah, because this is more on the developers side. And developers, they are doing, in my opinion, their own research about the preferences, and the preferences change from country to country. So it depends from where the developer studio is, type of games that they are producing.
See, that's fascinating to me because I thought, I would think again as someone, I'm not a gamer. I last time I gamed was like 1982. So that's a long time ago. We had to put quarters into a video game machine and that's how we would
Before I was born.
there.
So
Yeah, it's been ages. It was fun. I mean, we used to have arcades and it was a social event to go gaming, right? But now it's become isolated, and I would think that popularity of certain game themes wouldn't be that dependent on culture, but you're saying it very much is, and that's fascinating to me. That where the game developer is where where the audience for that is might be two different things. It's I always thought like lately these shoot 'em up games are the most popular, or Roadblock or Roblox, or these kinds of things are like universal. Like it doesn't matter which country you're from, they love this stuff. But it's fascinating to hear you say that, because that's a deep insight into some cultural trends that you guys probably
Yeah.
notice that we're not aware of. You guys should be in politics. Advise advise politicians on what you're seeing.
Yeah, I think that I would prefer to advise families how to spend, let's say, time together, because the change also that we are really ambassadors, let's say, and we advocate on it, is that instead, of telling your kids to not play games, it's to play with them, because this is also, building a relationship between generations. And actually, gaming is for everyone. I think that everyone can find out something that will make a big, you know, a big pleasure in playing together. But also, it can be, different, let's say, approaches, because um, I mean, especially moms, because what I can observe is that dads are more likely to play games with their kids, but also moms, in my opinion, can find something for them, and I encourage everyone, to do that, because it's really giving us an opportunity to be closer with our kids, which is very important.
So that begs the question: why do you think most people game?
Because it's a great fun.
Is it? I don't know why. I personally, and this is just my opinion, not my company's opinion, but me personally, I always thought it was maybe an escape, that a lot of people are gaming to go into a different world and escape the reality that they're in.
I,
And
I think that they right now people they are living in digital, right? They are making friends in Fortnite. Kids they are having the platform when they can exchange their opinions, where they can have a great fun together, and I think it's a social aspect that is important. It's not right now. A typical gamer who's in front of the computer for 8 hours a day and playing one game. I think that people are looking for much more variety. They are trying new things, they like it or they not like, and they are changing into mobile, then again to PC, again to the console. So today we do not have a share that this is a console type of gamer and this is a PC gamer. Mostly everyone has got both.
wow, heavily invested in it. All this, given that they are invested so much, they're sharing a lot of data with you. A lot of personal data is being shared here. Are How are you safeguarding that data from falling into the wrong hands? Or uh, do you anonymize that information about people if you do share it with others? Like, what's the data about the individual? How is that safeguarded?
We do not share any data with anyone, and I would say that, let's say, finger crossed, we never had any leak of data.
Oh,
We are
wow,
10
fantastic.
years 10 years at the market. We observed many leaks of the competitors, many leaks in terms of gaming industry like PlayStation, Sony, etc. And we are really proud that we did not have any. So meaning that our, let's say, protecting wall is quite working good. And from that point of view, we are trying to keep that level of security in order to always have our customers protected.
Wow, that's good to know, because like here, like we hear about it constantly on most of the social media platforms. Like just recently, you probably had maybe the news over there might be a little different, but here the TikTok ban has been a big topic of interest, and and the whole reason is the amount of data that they're collecting on the individual, and then their ability to share that data and mine it for analytics, and then plan campaigns to affect that user base is the big concern, right? So, and we know TikTok shares. I'm sure these other Instagram, Facebook, they all have some sharing going on, and that's been the big concern. So I'm surprised, and I'm glad to hear you guys, you just don't share that information.
Yeah.
So let's switch to interdisciplinary teams, and diversity in those interdisciplinary teams. First of all, can you define what you think is diversity in a team, and then how does it actually help the cause of that interdisciplinary team to achieve their goals? That's something you've talked about, I think, in the past, and would.
Yeah. I think that let's say that the diversity should be visible both internally and externally. So internally, we have initiatives promoting diversity like Together We Are Smarter or the Girl Power strategy. And we are also in the process of creating our diversity, inclusion, and ISG strategies, which must be aligned with business strategy, of course, because otherwise they just don't work. And it's important to just lead by example. In 2023, we launched our first diversity campaign
Okay.
to celebrate the diversity of our employees, users, partners, offerings, and gaming, and to promote the diversity in gaming with educational content and collaboration with a wide variety of gaming influencers. And just in numbers, we with that campaign we reached 200 million impressions, with a plus 77% of growth in brand searches in US.
Wow.
So that gives us like 80 million reach, which is awesome and it's huge. And G2A.com is diverse and open from people from all parts of the world. We want to use even better our diversity potential. We want to develop, let's say, that inclusive corporate culture for all employees, that they can feel good and safe. And we aim that our diversity and inclusion policy and initiatives are persistent process, taking into account, of course, the perspective of each employee. So within organization, we have got even diversity and inclusion ambassadors.
Okay.
So we organize workshops related to that topic, and we are preparing this policy, including strategy initiatives for the coming years.
Does your program specifically address the getting more women in tech?
Um, I think that uh, we consistently emphasize the importance of creating that space for everyone, regardless, let's say, gender, ethnic, or cultural orientation. And our top management, actually, which I'm part of, consists of equal gender ratio, with
Wow.
50% women and 50% men. And nearly 40% of G2A workforce is right now women. So this is kind of rarity in the gaming industry. And I am personally very proud of it, because when I started my journey within gaming industry, for the first 3 years, I didn't have any business meeting with the person of the same gender. So it's very important to
So,
to aspire to be a leader in that aspect. And I think that our mission is also showing people that this is doable, right? That we can do that. But having women in executive position can allow for a much wider array of options and perspectives to become available and implemented within the company policy. And I think that diversity in any position also opens up much more potential workforce. So you no longer need to limit yourself to just the stereotypical best men for the job. I always stress that it applies to women within technology, but also men in HR roles. So this is not only related to women. So teams creating different solutions should be diverse, in my opinion, because it's a situation where we have no diverse team. There is a greater risk of implementing bad solutions that may lead to an image or sales crisis. We build those diverse teams to develop and protect actually the business.
So what caused the gaming industry to go on this trend where you have such a large number of women that are actually participating when you compare it to the other industries?
Uh, I think that determination that we have.
Really? So it's
Yeah.
and that's been in gaming. I mean, so it's a mindset. Like I'm just curious, why did that mindset happen in gaming and not in automotive or in, some other computer industry, manufacturing? Or you guys
I
must
think
have
that
done something.
yeah, I think that it's important to educate people, and it's important to make sure that men they just support women, not only within a organization but also in house, right? Your sister, your mother, your wife, to
Yeah.
encourage to speak up, and this is very important. But of course, the first thing that you should look at is competences and then gender, right? And wherever the first point is ticked, then it's you can go and build diverse team.
Now, have you seen any pushback in the Middle East? I assume you folks do business there with this approach.
It's a bit harder,
You're polite, Dorota.
yeah, but but as I said, it doesn't mean that it's not doable.
Yes.
It would just require a bit more, let's say, a bit more time, let's say, to make the same results. However, if I look at myself 10 years back, it was hard, but right now you can really be proud. So the reward is so awesome that it's worth going through the obstacles and persisting and don't give up.
No, we had some time back a recruiter on the show, and she mentioned that in the cybersecurity world, and I was surprised to hear this statistic, and this was a couple years ago, but she had mentioned that women on average get paid 30% more than men in cybersecurity.
More.
More.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't believe it, but then she explained it has to do with competence because women found it so much harder to break in that they added more qualifications. So
Hmm.
when they are applying for it, they have more qualifications than other candidates. So they're not necessarily getting paid more because they're women, they're getting paid because they're qualified,
Exactly.
right? But that was an interesting statistic. Um, let's let's talk about things that you have set up for the future. We want to give you. I know we're trying to get. We're almost at the end of the show here, but I wanted to anything that you wanted to plug, things you want to let our audience know about that you're up to or your company's up to, anything you want to share, any events, talks, books, anything you would like to talk about. Let them please.
Um, so in the first place, I think that I would advise women to always have a courage to speak up. And this is something that I am a big advocate, and this is my first message.
Okay.
The second, let's say, maybe interesting thing is that I recently read Switched by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. This is the first book that I will recommend to look at. It's about how hard it is sometimes to make changes and suggests often appealing not to logic, mathematics, analytical stuff, but to emotions, to break key milestones into centimeter milestones and making sure that you can achieve the final goal. And the second one, book, let's say that I would highly recommend is that I think we have a culture of accessibility everywhere, bumping from different things. I even saw a great Timex watch commercial recently. Know the time without seeing you have 1,000 unanswered emails. Only watch commercial, but it's giving you an idea that concentration, the ability to rest, and time management will be, in my opinion, skills that a person can't quite handle with the help of technology alone. So in here, my advice is also about thinking a bit about this human touch everywhere.
That's fantastic. I have to tell you, Dorota, you have a very unique outlook, and it's very refreshing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's you have said a lot of things that are somewhat deep, actually, in the course of this interview, and I don't think anyone can really argue with them. They're very good opinions, and keep
I
up
hope
that.
so.
Yeah, no, keep up what you're doing, because it's that passion shows and the sincerity comes out on what you're trying to do and what you're saying, and it's important. It's really nice to hear someone in tech say it's not all about the tech. It's about people. It's ultimately about the people. It's about the experience and delivering that experience, and it's not a pure technology problem. Um, those
it,
you don't
it
hear that
helps,
that much.
but it's not all about that, right? We have to rethink that other aspects are also very, very important.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. So glad you shared some things here. It's been a pleasure, and as you folks grow and things, and you have something new to say, please stay in touch. Well, we'd love to have you back and let our audience know about what's happening in the gaming industry. Uh, you're always welcome.
Thank you very much. With pleasure.
Okay. Thank you, Dorada. Appreciate it.
Thank you.